Hey, what is up? How's it going? It is your boys. We are back. I am Nick LaRocco. You might know me as Neek. And joining me is the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sir Gregory. Introduce yourself, my man. Greg, yes, no, maybe so. All right. Well,
yep.
There he is. All right. Well, yes, welcome to another installment of the Dirt Sheet Radio podcast. We're going to be looking at another week of amazing wrestling news, rumors, and everything else in there. We're going to be looking at All In. We're going to be thinking about what's coming up at Bash in Berlin. And we're going to be joined by another guest. You might know him as Mr. Mack, the curbside hero himself. Looks like he's having some connection issues. He was just here when we were off the air, but once he gets that resolved, he'll be joining us when he can. Greg,
you lied to me.
Greg, as every wrestling podcast needs to open with, have you heard the rumors about Linkin Park?
I heard there was a countdown of sorts. I don't know what to expect. I am in a weird place where it's hard to imagine that there is a band after what happened. I know that it's not impossible. AC/DC did quite well after the loss of their frontman. Leonard Skinner is still putting out albums. Mileage may vary on how you feel about that.
Alice in Chains still together?
Alice in Chains are still together, yes. With a guy that sounds strikingly like him. Which I think is the guy from Mad Season, so he's always sounded strikingly like Lane Staley. No, I'm sorry. Mad Season was with Lane Staley, but they have a guy that sounds just like him. It's weird. So, like, I can't. I don't want to hate on it out the bat or just like be weird about it, but I'll check in. I'll see what it sounds like. I will give them the benefit of the doubt because it's still Shinoda and everybody else, and they have enough credibility with me to give it a try.
Absolutely, and they've always been very experimental, so no matter what, I'm still gonna, like you said, give them a listen to because I love them. And I saw someone online also talk about how, what we dealt with as fans doesn't compare to, what they've dealt with as a band. So
of course,
huge love there. Hey, Robert, how's it going? Good old Robbie. Shout out to Robbie from the Dynamite recap show. I heard it was
really.
That is.
See, that's something that my brain needs to parse and think about. Yeah,
my brain needs time to process this. Connection's not looking the best, but let's try and see if we can get Mack back in here. Connection
is made.
Mack, you there? We were having some connection issues with Robbie earlier. It's just third man issues right now.
Return of the Mack.
All right, well, Mack figures that out. All right, there he goes. But yeah, so getting into the actual wrestling stuff. This past weekend was All In. Believe it or not, no fights happening backstage. That was a plus.
Yes.
Greg, overall, before
we do still have one more event to go.
Oh yes. All Out?
Yes.
Oh yeah, All Out approaches. We're going to be, I think, looking at more in detail on next week's show. But for now, we got some semblance of what that's going to look like. But before we get to All Out,
there is no brawling at the All In, but there may still be a brawl out at the All Out. We'll see what happens.
It is Chicago. We've been known to have those.
Someone's going to throw a chair.
Oh, it'll happen. Someone's going to get bit. Greg, overall, before we get into match by match, look, what did you think of All In?
I thought it was a pretty solid show. I had to watch it in like bits and pieces because with my schedule, it's difficult to wake up for 1 p.m. I caught most of it live, like I think from the Young Bucks match all the way up to the semi-main. What was the semi-main again? It was Darby and Adam. What?
Darby and Jack Perry in the coffin.
Yes. Oh, you said casket. Yes. Which I have opinions about. But
let the record show they used an actual casket and not a coffin.
That's fair. I've never actually considered much. I never actually given much time to the distinction between the two.
But so we're not going to go too in depth since we did that on the All In recap show, which Greg, you joined us at the last minute for, so that was a fun little
something like that. Yeah.
All right, is Mack back in here? His connection looks great. There he is, and it's good quality. He's just a little early on that, but
it's funny because he looks like Skeletor.
I love that. Yes, we're going to be talking a lot more in depth in a little bit on the passing of Sid. But looking at
that, boys, my iPad went wacky for a second.
Oh, that's all good, man. Glad to have you in here.
It'd be that way.
It do
What
be
are you guys
that way.
talking about?
We dove into All In. So overall, Mac, what did you think of All In?
I didn't get to watch the show, but like I usually do, I go and I watch the YouTube clips, and like the 15-minute video that these editors put together very
hastily.
Yeah, no, not hastily. I mean, I don't watch the hastily ones. I watch very creative editors, But from what I saw, it looked like a good show. I was surprised that Darby lost, considering that he's going into the Grand Slam against presumably Bryan. But
And then getting called out by Moxley on Dynamite.
yeah, and having his dad pick him up out of a coffin that he was stuffed in a bag, and then he was all wet and
all tied up.
Yeah, his dad pulled him out of a coffin.
Jesus.
But overall, I watched the Bryan and Swerve match, and I mean, they just made magic. I mean, across the board, like everything I've read, except for a couple of people that want to be, like edgy neckbeards to get that $2.37 monetization for the whole month for interaction, saying that it was shitty. I said on the pod. I don't know if John would take offense to it, but I said earlier, someone commented something earlier, I think on the Dynamite podcast, was like, "This show sucks," and I was like, go back to Monday nights where the lesser offspring robbed a gimmick from his dead brother's grave, you piece of shit.
Yeah, you did say that, and we even popped that up on the air too.
Yeah, but no, I thought I didn't watch the whole show, so I can't give it a rating. But from what I've seen, it looked like a really good show, man.
Yeah, I personally enjoyed it. For those of you joining us, welcome. And honestly, too, we're talking about All In. So if you yourself haven't watched All In or want to get a little refresh, John and I did a fantastic recap episode of of All In 2024. So go and check that out on Dirt Sheet Radio's platforms. Even Mr. Greg over here did a little cameo too at the end. But yeah, so we're not going to.
I listened to it driving home.
Hey, exactly. That's the way to do it. So, yeah, go check that out, but do that after this show, okay? But we're not going to spend too much time on All In, but I definitely want to look at a couple of, like, the big league matches that are going to be leading up to things going forwards for AEW. One of the big things we saw was the opener, which was the four-way London Ladders match, where Pac and the Blackpool Combat Club, a very interesting alliance there, ended up retrieving the championship belts and becoming the new Trios champions. In particular,
I stand by London Bridges being better.
It would be, yes. In particular, what we did have was a moment where, and they didn't really do a good job catching this, so I wish that was something they could have fixed, but whatever. They saw it happen was Killswitch and Christian Cage sort of having a little disagreement, and Killswitch storming off away from the patriarchy during this match, which then will lead us into some fun shenanigans for later. So just remember that happened. But overall, London Ladders match, what did you guys think of that?
I actually did watch that match. I thought it was really good. The ladders were really small and tiny, so it made the match a little bit. It made the match.
They're either too small or too big.
Yeah, and I did like that. I did like the spot where Wheeler and Claudio went through the tables, and they just kind of like mid climbing. They were like, "Oh yeah, to put these guys through the table, we got to go with them." So yeah, boom, yeah.
The two middle fingers and the boom.
Well, I mean, I think it was way too early for the patriarchy to lose the championship, and Killswitch wasn't even a member of the Trios champions, and he was in the match when they stripped Juice Robinson of the titles because they couldn't free Bird. So Tony, you're in the dirt. AEW dead. But I thought the
T-shirt
Patriarchy
company.
winning was a little bit too. Patriarchy losing was a little bit too soon. But whatever they did with Christian, it was in the gauntlet. I understand.
Spoiler alert. Greg, what were you gonna say?
I've noted several times that AEW on in kayfabe on character is like run as a complete chaos company because like Tony Khan, the character, seems to have zero concern with like keeping the company on some level of logical Jay White stole the belt for several weeks and nobody forced him to give it back.
No regulation or anything there.
Yeah, that's the word. Thank you. No regulation. There's no structure. It's just like things just happen, and Tony Khan is just like, yes,
Perfect.
Chaos, dissent.
Meanwhile, Bang Bang Gang is just like, nope, none of that.
Yeah, right.
Which broke one of my favorite things, where when the Bang Bang Gang would come out, they'd be like 3/4 of the trio's champions. Greg, what were you saying there before I so rudely interrupted you?
No, you pretty much, I pretty much wrapped that up. Yeah, it's just like the company is run without any real regulation or
Yeah.
Like I think back to the days where it's like the guy in charge was always like on the side of the company and like to some degree the baby faces, or it's just the side of good.
Yeah.
You know, where like remember when cheating used to matter?
Yeah.
And people used to get mad at you for it?
Yeah.
This isn't allowed.
You know, it used to mean something when you cheated because like you got one over on the company. It's like, God damn it, that Nick Bockwinkel is still the champion, that clever son of a bitch.
And then think about how Nick Bockwinkel then becomes what he despises.
Hey,
listen, the company is run by the two worst assholes in the world. Now, at least WWE is, I mean to say, you know.
And now we have Christopher Daniels as an authority figure.
CD?
Yes.
Gold CD. But if we don't have anything else to throw out there with the ladder match, because we're going to revisit some of the results here and there.
I know, because I'm honestly, if I'm honest, I didn't watch the pre-show.
That's okay, nobody does. Here's one of the big matches that I think a lot of people were looking forward to, myself included, was Mariah May defeating Timeless Toni Storm to win the AEW Women's Championship. This was a match that was literally pure cinema, fellas. What did you think?
I am so happy for Mariah May as someone who got to watch her in Stardom and just like had zero expectations of this bubbly blonde girl and just blew all that shit out the water. Like, good for her. I'm happy for her. Tony had a solid damn year trying to make that gimmick fucking work, which I don't.
She succeeded.
Yeah, like that. I mean to say, like that shit. There was nothing easy about trying to make that gimmick work.
Yeah.
You know, it was asking a lot of people who not only knew Toni Storm but like had a certain expectation of Toni Storm. It was like, no, we got to go somewhere completely different. And like it didn't even happen gradually. Just like one day, like she's on the fucking Outcast, and then she just starts acting really fucking weird.
Yeah, and she starts dressing differently, and it's like, what's this? And then I get progressively becomes more and more extra.
Yeah, and like it just made it work. And Toni Storm, part of Toni Storm making it work was just being, you know, just unhinged and like, I'm just gonna go completely balls to the wall with this silly fucking person.
Right.
So I don't know if you guys saw it today, but somebody put out a fake tweet of Dave Meltzer's ratings for All In.
Oh, I did see that. Yes.
And fucking internet went crazy. Somebody tweeted Dave and was like, "You only gave a 1.5 to Mariah May and Tony," and he was like, "Why is your business online starting lies?" Like, I saw the tweet, and he was like, it was like a ridiculous thing. It was like 6.5 stars for like Brian, and it was like 1.5 stars for like Tony Storm and Mariah May. And Dave's like, "The Observer doesn't come out till Friday, you fucking nerds."
Yeah. The best part about that was, to me, when I first saw it and I didn't know any better, it was like it wasn't even that Mariah May and Tony Storm was like a 1-star, but the idea that Baker and Monet was more.
Yeah.
And that match was a fucking train wreck.
Did you see what Mercedes said about that match though today?
No, absolutely not.
What did she say, Mac?
All right, so let me see. I'll pull it up on the Dirt Sheet Radio page because I believe that Jonathan posted it.
Shout out to John. Enjoy that movie, man.
Let me see what she said. She said, "Oh, he posted. Sorry, Jonathan did not post it on that page. He posted it on his page. Follow him at John Escudero."
Yes.
So she said, sorry, I should have been more prepared for this.
It's okay.
So here's what she said. Mercedes Monet said in her subscription news.
All the things she said.
running through her head. She said, "Is there anything I would have done differently? Of course there is. Honestly, a lot. But I don't ever want to go too deep into what ifs about my matches or my life for that matter. I'll just say that I learned a lot from this match and can only grow and continue to try things and maybe would have listened to my instincts a little bit more. I feel I did things that maybe weren't necessarily required for the match, things that I could have saved for another time. But then again, little sense in looking back other than what we can learn from it moving forward. One thing is for sure, I can't wait to do it all over again next year in Texas."
That was a logical response. I'll give it that.
I mean, that's pretty much, yeah, that would be the response to give to all that.
Yeah.
And she also revealed that her ring gear was $10,000. It was the most expensive ring gear of her entire career.
Ooh.
I mean, Wembley's the time to spend that money.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Which, I mean, basically, too, we went over what there is to say about that match, so we can easily skip over that one when we get there. But the one thing I did like was that body slam Connor into another body slam, whatever that was in the middle of the match. Like the one shining point of that there from the top rope.
It looked like the old Scott Hall last call, aka the sack of shit. It kind of looked like that, like reversed, you know?
Yeah, like whatever it was, like that was like I'd say like the brightest spot of the whole match. And I mean, you have Camille out there just stealing the show by just literally standing there and having pure presence. Look,
I mean, sometimes wrestlers just don't mesh with each other, you know?
Sometimes.
You know,
I had a theory. Mine was just that it's been so long since Britt has been in that position that I don't think she remembers how to be led.
Yeah.
No, that was exactly what, because I think John brought up that you said that on the show. And the other thing I was thinking of too is I think you've got a situation where both women, you know, are best friends outside of the ring. And usually you think that like, oh, best friends tend to work amazing together.
Are they?
Guerrero and Benoit wrestling amazing matches. But I think too, in this instance, you've got that sense of, you know, that kind of mutual fear from hurting the other one, especially because, you know, there's a long history of Sasha's or Mercedes' neck issues, and then the long history of Britt's injuries, especially that recent TIA. So I could see them kind of being a little hesitant as well going into it.
A little ginger, as it were.
Yeah, so I think there's a little sense of hesitation that they both had in there, and I don't think that's necessarily a fault for themselves, like because they're so close. They probably know what the other's been through over the years. So
my thing with Mercedes is I don't think she's fully mentally recovered from being out for a year and breaking her ankle in that match. I think it really took a toll on her mentally. I don't know her personally. She's from Boston, so fuck yeah. But I don't think that she recovered mentally from it. And I think, and honestly, and I'm going to say this with my whole chest, and I honestly think this is true, and I think she's a great performer. I think she has a lot of aura, and she's beautiful, and she draws. But I think she was, and she said she hated it, but I think she was better when she was overly WWE produced. Like, everything was laid out for her. Everything was methodical. Everything was to a science, to a T. Because she outside of WWE, maybe that Kairi Sane match that they had for the IWGP Women's Championship. Outside of that, and maybe Stephanie Vancour, but that
also Mayu Iwatani.
Yeah, but anything outside of like a Japanese match, she hasn't really performed that well.
You're basically saying any match where her opponent was not significantly better than her.
Yeah, like look at it this way.
It's respectful in its way.
I'm not a Britt Baker hater. I'm not.
You're not a Jamie hater, as they might say.
Huh?
I'm not a Britt Baker hater, but I've never been a fan of Britt Baker's. Like, I've never thought she was particularly good. So if you're gonna put somebody in there with Mercedes, like, it's got to be somebody that can carry her through the bad times because they're good enough, but just like shitty enough that Mercedes can carry them through a bad time. If they're both having a bad time, and they're going through like a 3 minutes of the match where they're just look lost, you're not going to have that person that's going to be able to, go, okay,
right the ship.
Yeah, we got to do this on the fly. Like, she had that with Iwatani. She had that with Kairi. Stephanie Vancourt, I'm sure, she has that. But Britt Baker's never struck me as a ring general, So, I mean, if you put her back in there with Willow, like, she's had good matches with Willow.
She has, yeah.
If you put her in there with Stat, I think that would be good. Did she face Shida? Has she faced Shida yet?
I don't think she has.
Shida, Riho, I think she would have amazing.
Because I think since she came in, Shida has been busy in Japan, and then has had her and Shida's had like her side stuff.
Dude, I would love to see.
Wait, were we talking about Mercedes and Shida?
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe they just wrestled a match.
Okay, maybe they did.
Okay.
Also, is Shida angling toward a heel turn?
It's hard to tell what they're angling with them.
Just a little bit more of an aggressive thing, maybe. Yeah. You know what?
August 14th episode of Dynamite was Mercedes and Shida.
Oh my God, that was like 2 weeks ago.
Okay, I don't remember that then.
You know what would be really awesome? I think would be a Athena and Mercedes match. I think they would.
Oh yeah, that'd be killer.
Well together, yeah. But yeah, I mean, the Britt Baker match, what it was, you just heard it from Mercedes' mouth. She was overthinking. She did things that, she probably shouldn't have done. So
yeah.
at least she's not coming out and going like, "Hey, Britt Baker sucks." She's kind of getting a backdoor around that and blaming herself. So kudos to her for being magnanimous,
not insulting her friend.
Yeah,
right. Getting back into the show, though, we had the For the World Championship Last Chance match. Hook defeats the champion Chris Jericho, and if Hook did lose this, he would have never been able to challenge for that title again, so long as Jericho was the champion. Not much to really say here. It was fun. It was the usual FTW rules match, but we really did have that awesome moment at the end. Father-son Taz missions. We'll be real brief on this one, guys. What do you think?
Did you think those were cricket balls? Did you think those were apples?
I thought they were apples at first because of the coloring on them.
I didn't think they were apples, but I was like, they look like I don't know what I'm thinking of, but they did just look like oversized, like really hard cylinders that you know what it was? They remind me of those skee ball balls.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, those things fucking hurt.
They would. You wouldn't think about it.
Back on your finger?
Nah, thankfully not.
Yeah.
I also thought the little like heartbeat EKG meter thing was cute.
That was fun.
It took them a while to get it, but they got it.
Would have been fun to have the full thing, but I understand why we won't go there.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, we can't. They're not exactly selling the music,
right? I also really like the "Hi guys" cricket bat. That was a fun.
Oh yeah. Jericho got
up.
choked with for way too long.
Yeah,
Jericho should be deceased at this point.
Which by the way, now that I say that, is funny because I was talking to John about how like it's obviously a completely different thing out there in Japan, where like Okada is not in New Japan, but like he gets to keep the music.
Yeah.
And that happens with a lot of guys. They'll go to a different company, but they kind of get to keep the music if they want to. Like it's just interesting how that works.
Do you guys remember when Ospreay had to stop using Elevated for a while, and he was using like that the United Kingdom song because
the rights?
Yeah, well, who is it? It Lives, It Breathes. That who does it?
Yes.
Yeah, something happened where their record label was like, yeah, we want like X amount of money when this is played, and they were like, no, we're friends with Will. We like him. Like, stop doing this.
That's our homie.
No,
fuck.
Yeah.
Well, moving on from there, we had the three-way tag match for the tag team titles. Nothing much to say here. Young Bucks retained the titles against FTR and the Acclaimed. Afterwards, what we did have were grizzled young veterans making their AEW return, and almost like an official debut as well, because I think on Dynamite they announced that they're going to be here for quite some time, if not that they've signed. But regardless, they jumped FTR, which says a lot, because I think their last match was a loss to the Acclaimed. Not much happened there, but it was nice to be able to see them inserting themselves into the future tag team title picture. Any major comments here when it comes to the Grizzly Young Vets or the tag match, fellas?
Not really.
The other one I have is that I didn't know they'd been there already.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a one-off or like the second time around.
They're booked on Rampage this week.
That is right. I believe they're taking on the Outrunners alongside the Outrunette with them.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Okay, so I fucking love the Outrunners. I don't give
They are awesome. I love them.
I love them.
Same.
I think they're great.
I really like when on Collision they gave them a vignette and they're just doing like 80s style bullying of people on the street. That was great.
That was fucking awesome. Yeah. Greg, you look like you have something to say.
The Outrunners is something of a conflict for me as someone who likes old school wrestling, but it's like, okay, no, that's the wrong old school. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like we're doing the weird, super technicolor, over the top, like yeah, baby gimmicks.
Yeah,
like,
they're kind of doing a little bit of a like
Randy
jobber,
Hogan.
like 80s, like no entrance, even though they do get an entrance, but like no entrance jobbers in the ring.
Yeah.
The flex and the spin.
They're doing the really over the top, super colorful, we just got Technicolor, everyone wear colors gimmick.
Listen, they're not I don't think they're gonna be tag team champions anytime soon, so as long as they're in the spot they're in now.
Ring of Honor, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
They're really fun in their role, and I really like them too when they were with Dalton Castle as the New Boys.
Yeah.
It had no business being as much fun as it was.
Oh, by the way, on the pre-show, Sammy Guevara was the worst Wolverine.
That's true. Brian Cage as Wolverine will always take precedence.
Yeah.
Shout out to Von Erichs having that awesome Wembley moment.
But he is vertically inaccurate. I'm kidding.
Oh, dude! Shout out to Dustin walking out 2 titles. Dustin, man.
He looks so cool.
Oh yeah,
dude. Dustin Rhodes, like. All right, so I don't want to go off too much of a tangent on Dustin Rhodes. Like, obviously he's slower in the ring, but everything this fucking guy has done in his career that they've asked him to do, he's done it. He has done the natural. He's done Gold Dust. He did 7 in WCW, okay? And then went out there and they were like, yeah, we're going to cancel this gimmick because it looks like you're a pedophile. So To go
Wow.
out there and cut a promo and bury it. Yeah, dude. They had vignettes where he was looking in the window of like a 4-year-old boy. It was creepy as shit.
And he was
Really?
using the
I
black,
never saw the vignettes. I only saw the debut.
and he was using the Black Scorpion voice changer.
Yeah.
Oh no.
But
That was an error.
I'm so happy for Dustin. Imagine it being 2024 and both of the roads are world champions.
That's a crazy thought. And here's the thing too, is Dustin's one of those wrestlers that has openly talked about, the hard living he did, throughout those earlier years in particular. And it's crazy to see that a wrestler who did have that sort of hard life on the road is still active in 2024.
Dude, the Rhodes and the Von Erichs are the 6-man tag team champions in 2024.
That's so mind-blowing to me. Ooh, Greg, I am hearing that one.
All I did was laugh.
No, you got the, as John calls it, the hurricane.
Oh.
But
You're a fan.
I'm your fan. But going back into it, we have the amazing Casino Gauntlet match. There's a lot of great talents in here, a lot of nifty surprises. You had Orange Cassidy, Kazuchika Okada. We had Nigel freaking McGuinness jump in there. Kyle O'Reilly, Zack Sabre Jr., Roger Strong, Mark Briscoe, Hangman Page, who was a super big favorite, Jeff Jarrett, who was amazingly over in this crowd, the debut of Ricochet. Then we had Christian Cage limping his way to the ring, and Killswitch coming down as the Luchasaurus. There's so much to unpack on this one. This is definitely one of the ones I don't mind if we go on tangents for, fellas. What did you guys think of this, Greg?
I had a laugh at Mama Wayne getting sprayed in the face, and then the most disappointing table bump to follow it right after.
Yeah, because it took like 30 seconds for him to fall through the table.
But he didn't even fall through the table. He kind of fell off of it.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my goodness.
The worst. The worst.
Mack?
So, dude, say what you want about him in the past, but I'm totally here for the Jeff Jarrett redemption tour.
Absolutely.
When Jeff Jarrett's music hit, I was like, that crowd went fucking bananas. That guitar shot, dude, I'm not even joking, and this isn't recency bias. That guitar shot that he gave to Hangman Adam Page, where he sold it, where he flipped his hair back and just fell and died off the apron, that was one of the gnarliest guitar shots I have ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
I would be totally fine if Bryan, again, had like a no-holds-barred concession stand brawl like he did with Jeff Jarrett, but this time for the AEW championship on his way out. Like, even if it was,
it's a Memphis staple, so like Jeff would already know how to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Dude, Jeff Jarrett, the reaction that he got in Cardiff and then the reaction that he got in London, like, I feel so good for him because he gets that reputation of holding WWF up before the Good Housekeeping match and going to WCW and holding that title hostage, and then no company.
The Mike Graham comment of not drawing a dime.
Yeah.
Never drew a dime.
Yeah, broke 1,000 guitars and never drew a dime. Then going and starting his own company and basically holding that title hostage for like 8 years. But
see, I am a TNA apologist when it comes to that.
Yeah. But I look at it this way, man. Like, Jeff has been through it. Like, he's done everything. He's won every title. Like, dude is like a bona fide legend, and I'm so happy that people are starting to appreciate him now. Like, it's really great to see. I wouldn't have had a problem if Jeff Jarrett won the Casino Battle Royal. I wouldn't have.
A few people felt that way.
Yeah, I wouldn't have minded at all, dude. Not at all. But I like Christian winning because he's going to pick his spot and he's going to ruin Bryan, and it's going to break everybody's heart. So, yeah.
Christian becoming AEW World Champion would be very interesting reaction-wise.
Oh, it's going to happen. It's
I believe it.
1,000% going to happen.
You have to do it one day.
Yeah.
I remember too how when Christian Cage first came in and he won the TNA World Title from Kenny Omega. What was that? The first Rampage?
Think so?
Yeah, that was such a huge iconic moment, and I think everyone at that point too was just like, if Christian Cage became the AEW champion, we'd all be okay with that, and I've always felt that way. And the patriarchy with the world title, come on, there's so many possibilities there with the father to everyone now.
I'm gonna be a cheap bitch and say that it's iconic only because he got to keep the TNA theme.
Give him the actual song, Dan.
Yeah, give him.
No, we're not doing Evanescence.
Yes, give him My Last Breath now. Do it now.
Tony Khan, you have the money. Do this.
Yeah, I know you're watching, Tony. Give it to him now.
Of course he is.
Yes, Dirt Sheet Radio super fan Tony Khan. But another, in particular, one of the biggest moments of the whole match, and everyone was looking forward to this, were the debut of Ricochet. And Ricochet, like I said, had an electrifying debut, had a great showcase on the Gauntlet, giving a lot of great B-roll for what they're going to be using for his promo video, which they aired on Dynamite, which, again, it looks so great, him being in front of tens of thousands of fans in Wembley, just killing everyone and looking amazing as he does it. Nobody moves like Ricochet does. Having a match alongside Kyle Fletcher where there's like 5% body fat at the most between the two guys, and Ricochet wrestling and having just the time of his life. Again, bringing back the 2019 AEW feels. Guys, how do we feel about Ricochet in AEW? Feels like it fits like a glove to me. What say you?
I think it'll be a fun time. I don't know that there's anything he's going to do in AEW that he wasn't already doing. Obviously, they will have less of an. I think his weaknesses will have less of an impact in AEW than it will in the WWE. But they get down with his style more, so like he'll be able to do that more.
Absolutely.
And that's gonna work out for him. Other than that, I don't know. He's unless he figures something out, and maybe he makes this huge change or this great improvement, which has happened before. Like, he's never been much of a character. He's never been much of anything else. He's just like, he's Ricochet. He do flips real good.
Yeah, look, Ricochet's just there to have those dream matches that everybody wants to see. Obviously, Pac, the obvious Will Ospreay again, Takeshita,
Yeah.
Give me Hologram.
Yeah, Hologram, who apparently the internet told me they're the same person, so I don't know how that's going to happen. But, I mean,
CGI.
even matches against guys like, Commander, or somebody like the Beast Mortos, or even somebody like Dante Martin. Those matches just scream fucking fun to me.
They can bring back the AAA guy who one loves. What is it?
Enrico?
Vikingo,
yes.
Vikingo. Oh, dude, Vikingo versus Ricochet. Oh my God, that'd be
incredible.
Great. Yeah. I think his ceiling's the TNT Championship or the International Championship. I don't ever see him with the AEW World Championship, but I don't think that's what he's there for.
Or the Continental Championship, any of their mid card belts.
Yeah.
All 8 of them.
Dude,
that was probably even more on the way.
Isn't the Continental Classic coming up soon?
He could be Ring of Honor champion. It doesn't matter at that point.
It hasn't mattered in a while. But yeah, that was a fun match. Casino Gauntlet, I remember watching it. I stood up. I couldn't sit down during this match because every time someone came out, I was like, "Oh, there we go!" And just thinking of like the matchup potential, and that was a lot of fun. But this was also the point in the show where things started to feel very rushed. So some of the matches might have either been cut down or other things might have been shifted around. But then we had the AEW American Championship match, which then became the International Championship once Will Ospreay defeated Exactly. Will Ospreay living his best life by coming out to a video narrated by Ezio from Assassin's Creed 2. Like, come on, that is so awesome. As a huge Assassin's Creed fan myself, I really appreciated that. So I thought that was really cool.
I admit I was not immediately aware that was the real voice actor, so good bully on them.
Oh yeah, I've seen a lot of people just talking about that, and it's like, wow, I've never seen a cross promotion happening during someone's special entrance at a big show.
Hey, Nick,
Never?
Can I say one more thing about Ricochet? Sorry to bring it back.
Yeah,
here,
do
Go
it.
for it.
Yeah, do it.
So Ricochet has been responding to a bunch of fucking people on Twitter.
Uh-oh.
That was the first mistake.
That's how it
Because
starts.
he's not used to these AEW fans. So someone said, "Oh, he'll be in Ring of Honor within like 2 months," and he's like, "Great, I love Ring of Honor." I was like, "No, stop! No, Trevor, don't stop!" And then he's like, "Oh, Tony Khan will get sick of him in 2 months," and he's like, "Well, I better get all my shit in." Then I'm like, "No, Trevor, stop!
You need to be careful, sir.
Like, don't
But,
respond to these trolls positively."
No.
Right. But
He's trying to do the thing where he's so nice that people just get bored of fucking with him.
You're right. Sorry, Nick. Go ahead. The AEW American Championship.
American Championship becomes the International Championship once Assassin's Creed Ezio defeats Maxwell Jacob Freedom. MJF streamers were caught within the rafters of the arena.
It was awkward.
That made Brian's celebration look so much more awesome.
It honestly did. So that ended up actually working out for the best. But yeah, those are stuck there for the remainder of the night, just like how Okada's cash money was all over the rampway.
Yeah.
Somebody clean this place up.
But MJF took a ridiculous Tiger Driver, and yeah, that was brutal.
It was an alright Tiger Driver. It could have been worse.
Could have been the Kenny Omega at Forbidden Door.
It could have been Kawada in '93.
Oh God! Right on the top of his.
Right on his big dumpy head.
But again, this is the thing: was MJF's a big meaty man like a Kawada, so like him taking that is always going to be terrifying.
A little bit.
My only problem with that whole thing was, and I said it on the AEW Dynamite podcast, Nick, was I know you only have 2 weeks to build All Out. I understand they want to do the Daniel Garcia match. This feels like the B show to All In, so they got to do the B feuds on there. I understand. I get it. But they built this up for 2 months where Will Ospreay almost ended Bryan's career. So he wasn't going to use the Tiger Driver anymore. He was going to retire it. And then his best friend gets decimated, gets busted open with the dynamite ring. Daniel Garcia dies and goes to heaven and comes back. But then you got Bryan coming up the last week, the go home dynamite, and saying, "Do it. I want you to do it." And then he does it, and MJF's just back out within like 3 days. Like, "Hey, how you doing? Hey guys, what's up?" Like I said, I preface this by saying that I understand you got to do the all-out build, but like, dude, you have 1 more week after this. Just have Daniel Garcia come out and say, "I want MJF, I want you," and then they say, "Oh, MJF's still selling the effects of the Tiger Driver from Saturday night, so he's not here tonight, but he will respond to Daniel Garcia next week." Like, I want the illusion that MJF was hurt from this. I don't need him to learn a lesson. I don't need him to be like, "Oh, I'm changing my ways" or anything. I just need him to fucking sell it. You got dropped on your head from like fucking 6 feet in the air. Sell it.
Yeah, and you're like a 250-pound man who's taking all that weight and pressure going down on you.
Dude, on your C4. Like, come on, on your C5 vertebrae. Like, come on, dude.
Oh, imagine the visual of MJF coming out with like he's got the neck brace and it's like one of those things too where it's like all the metal sticking up and like connecting into his forehead too to secure it in place.
Dude, do the JBL thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Put the cowboy hat on top of the metal.
Exactly.
But,
it's one of those weird things though, because like they've never been consistent with it.
Yeah.
So like I can't blame them for not being consistent with it now. I say that in the language of he almost hurt Bryan Danielson with it, who is already kind of an almost broken down man anyway. But we've also seen him hit it on Takeshita and Shibata and be fine.
Yeah.
So I think it's more of the potential of danger than the promise of it.
I just wish
That's a good way
that
to
he
put it.
only busted it out, like kind of like like Kobashi did with the Burning Hammer. Like,
Oh yeah,
he only used it 6 times in his career.
Break.
yeah. I argued heavily. Me and John argued heavily that like it had the aura in the Omega match once you busted out this thing you've never done before because you needed to do it.
Yeah.
And then they put it on a shirt, and then he put his own name on it. And then he did it again and again. And like, oh, see, you ruined it. It's just a move now.
It's become a thing.
Well, see, that's what they did with the Burning Hammer. Like, the Burning Hammer just became a move. Back in the 70s and 80s, the Burning Hammer was something that Kobashi pulled out when he was down to his last breath in matches.
In fairness, yes, but Kobashi didn't do it. Other people did. That's an uncontrollable entity at that point, because like you can draw that activity back to the fucking DDT.
Yeah,
the DDT was special, and then everyone did it, and then it wasn't. The power driver was special, and then everyone did it. The power driver was special, and then everyone did it, and then it wasn't. And then we can go on to the superplex, and
I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right,
Keep talking. I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, you can draw that back to the superplex and so many other moves that were big deals, and then everyone did it.
Which is so sad because like I've always loved how wrestling has had this like short list of these very fabled maneuvers that you only pulled out when it was the most desperate of occasions, and when you saw this, you knew that stuff was hitting the fan, and like they needed to pull this out because otherwise they had no other chance of winning.
Yeah,
and again, I miss when the DDT used to be that.
Even WWE has a weird history with the idea of the super finisher, right? Because there are situations where they use it correctly, in the sense of like, they had the big babyface main event when it was Cena and Lashley years ago, and like.
The super.
How do we beat Bobby Lashley in an impressive way that doesn't like kind of kill his momentum? Oh, Cena had to do the big thing to beat him. He couldn't beat him his normal way. Like that one works fine. When Cena uses the Super AA to beat Cesaro on a Monday Night Raw, it kind of belies the fucking point.
We're cheaping this when he's been able to beat this guy and everyone else has with their normal movesets.
Right.
Or when AJ kicks out.
They have an inconsistent history with that idea. So, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised the way the Burning Hammer got used. But like once again, I'd be more upset about that idea if it was Kobashi that ruined his own move, not like. Just years of indie guys like, I love the Burning Hammer. I'm going to use it because there's no regulation, and the indies is the Wild Wild West.
Be able to pull this out whenever I want.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like I said, the indies is the Wild West. You can't regulate that shit.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do to regulate that. So like you get. It is a whole tangent. I could go all day on it, but. There's no way you can stop people from doing the Burning Hammer because, like, what are you gonna do? Like, not book them like this?
Right.
Oh no, I can't wrestle in fucking Limitless Wrestling. Whatever will I do with my career?
I can't go to the VFW because they said no more Burning Hammer.
Oh no.
But one of the aspects that ended this whole match, too, was the involvement of a masked man. Who was under the mask? Was it Adam Coleslaw? No, it wasn't. It was Daniel Garcia making his return. Did that potentially let us know that he's staying? Time will tell. Depends on what the results will be for a match that is now booked for MJF and Daniel Garcia at All Out. Give us a sense, probably more so, of what his future will be. I know John and I were kind of thinking he might have got signed for them to feature him on All In, but you never know. After that, we already talked about the TBS title. What's up, Mack?
So I was just went to go to the bathroom, but
okay.
But I was just watching a thing. Not watching it. I was reading it on my phone, with Roderick Strong talking about the Hook situation where he said his foot was under the rope and that Aubrey Edwards had to jump over his foot to get by, and she saw his foot, and it's a conspiracy, and that they left Hook lying because Roddy wants the FPW title, and he is going to ask Tony Khan if he can challenge for it.
Yeah. I'm still very upset that Aubrey looked right at everything, and that's what led to things happening.
I mean, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of Aubrey Edwards is actually not a great ref, but
Greg, senior official Aubrey Edwards.
Yeah,
she's like 32.
Senior official with her face in every shot, but it shouldn't be.
Rick Knox crying. But yeah,
to hell with Jesus Christ. The hell was Rick Knox. He's even worse.
But speaking of even worse, we got through the TBS title match, and we went from TBS to TNT. We had the coffin match. We talked a little bit about this, but Jack Perry retains the title against Darby Allin. If none of the other matches felt rushed, this one absolutely did. You can kind of tell that they cut a few things and really.
Darby got jobbed.
Yes, Darby, who has a world title shot in his back pocket and who just got called out by John freaking Moxley, got obliterated in this match.
Yeah.
So Nick, what match went long for them to cut so much time out of this?
I'm gonna say the tag match.
Oh, fucking Max Caster strikes again.
I would have quicker blamed that on the Bucks, but sure.
I mean, tag match was about like 12 minutes, which honestly is several minutes too long anyways for them.
I still argue that the finish to the tag match should have been Shelton Benjamin slapping the shit out of Max Caster.
Dude, that would have popped me so hard. You have no idea. But it's just because it's Shelton Benjamin.
Yes.
Yeah, and because Max Caster sucks.
Yeah, it happens. I could see maybe that the Casino Gauntlet could have gone a little too long, and I wouldn't be surprised if Mercedes and Britt Baker took some liberties and gave themselves some extra minutes.
Well, they had a out at 10 p.m. they said.
I'm gonna complain about one thing, and John's gonna be so pissed that he isn't here to fight with me about it.
Oh, John, cover your ears right now if you're listening to this.
He's watching Batman.
Hey, he's gonna watch it at some point.
Yes. I am not a fan of pulling out the glass and making a thing of it on two levels. One, the company keeps trying to make a point that we want to get past this, and then they bring it up again after show where it went down.
Greg, this is long-term storytelling. You'll see when CM Punk comes back.
Sure it is. That's what they said when Punk left WWE the first time.
Just wait.
And two, because of what it did, was it took Jack Perry the heel and then made everyone in the room cheer for him briefly, and then led everyone in the room to say the name of somebody who works for the other company. It was like, great. We've gotten the heel over as the babyface, and then we've gotten CM Punk over, and now Darby Allin's about to lose. What is happening? What is this amateur's bullshit? I just think it's an unintelligent decision, and it bothered me on such a level that, like, you have been given this opportunity to make a moment yours, and once again you made it about somebody else.
I don't know if you guys saw it tonight, but right after John Moxley said this company isn't yours anymore, they shot to a guy wearing a cowboy hat and a CM Punk shirt.
Of course they did.
They zoomed right in on him too.
Yeah,
that was very interesting, and he stood up at the perfect time too. I don't know what we could say about that. And if that was a plan, that's such an interesting choice. But Darby Allin basically gets hogtied. He is thrown off the stage like well over 10 feet, and commentary spends a whole 2 minutes trying to figure out the exact height that he was thrown off of. And on top of that, his wrists are bound with tape. His ankles were bound together with his own belt. And then he shoved in a body bag and then shoved in a casket. And this rushed 10-minute endeavor gives Darby his first ever coffin match loss. That was definitely something. And then, hey, remember...
The only thing they were missing was to actually tape up the casket and then throw it into traffic.
Well, they were getting ready to do something to it because they brought out the gasoline canisters with the Jackson 2 coming in there, and they have gas ready to go a la Undertaker and Kane during that casket moment at the 98 Rumble.
Yes.
But it's okay because it's Sting! His dad saves the day. Yes.
Y'all paid a lot for Metallica for that one moment.
Dude,
they paid so much money. Many Men, Metallica.
Oh, did they pay Many Men this time?
I think they did, didn't they, Nick?
Did they? I don't remember.
It's the pre-show, right?
Because when they were coming out, admittedly, that's when I swapped over from YouTube, and I maybe used NordVPN. Go to comicbookclick.com and scroll to the very bottom so you can use NordVPN. And I was using NordVPN to switch over to Triller. So I might have missed that when I was switching over. What's up, Chris?
Okay.
But that takes us into the main event, which was title versus career for the AEW World Championship. Bryan freaking Danielson has defeated and ended the reign of Swerve Strickland by submission as well. This itself, without a doubt, one of the best matches, probably
ever.
Not just on the show, but I'd say of the year as well. This was great. It told a great story. It was some tremendous in-ring action, and we have the amazing moment and realization that Bryan Danielson is the World Heavyweight Champion in 2024. So what a great way to, if you're going to cap off a career, being the world champion is honestly the way to do it. Guys, what are we thinking?
So let me tell you. Go ahead, Greg. You go first, buddy.
No, it's just Bryan Danielson is champion in 2024, and part of me is just wondering if he hates it.
Deep down, he's like, I didn't want this.
They had to beg him to be champion.
I am paying $200K a pop for you to have this song. You will be the heavyweight champion, and you will like it.
You son of a bitch!
Take it now.
You know what my big takeaway of this match was?
What?
So, my big takeaway was Swerve, when Bryan hit the Psycho knee, and Swerve went into the corner and then came back out like a fucking Super Saiyan and fucking brushed off his fucking chest.
Statistic Swerve.
And then hit the fucking house call right after that. And it looked like it was over. That gave Swerve so much more, in my opinion, than a win in this match would. Because now he's going into a steel cage match with Hangman Page. And I'm sure Hangman Page watched that match. So if a Bryan Danielson by Psycho knee that won him the World Heavyweight Championship in WWE and put down numerous people like Kenta, Nigel McGuinness, Roderick Strong, CM Punk, AJ Styles, all these guys in the past, and it didn't take out Swerve. Hangman's going to have to bring a gun to this to this steel cage match to win.
Yeah.
And it just really...
Which is a common occurrence in Chicago.
It just really...
Perfect for the setting.
That's fucked up.
It just really leveled Swerve up, and I really, really, really liked that moment. I thought that did so much for his character.
Absolutely.
Until he took one to the back of the head.
Yeah. Well, you can't take two of them, Rick. Only one.
Although he did get to tap Batista out at WrestleMania, which is probably just as good. I popped a bit personally for him shuffling from the LaBelle lock to the Nagano lock 3. I was like, shit, this is serious.
Yeah. I was like, holy shit, the rings of Saturn? What?
Again, just popping out those last second maneuvers because it's what else can I do? And I love that about this match.
If he popped out the moss covered 3-handle family credenza,
oh my god.
Well, that's a deep cut right there.
I think the Italiano guy is doing that now.
Oh god.
Right. Byron Cutler asks, Bryan Danielson's reign already off to a bad start. First up, what did Jack Perry do to earn a championship match?
He beat the number one contender.
Killed the number one contender and had his dad come and rescue him.
Yep.
So that itself, I mean, when you think about it, is logical and valid.
Yep.
A rare thing in this company.
A rare thing in wrestling, period.
Yep.
Yeah.
But another thing that is being brought up in the comments now that we've gone through All In, unless you guys had some last-minute thoughts to throw out there with Danielson Swerve.
Good show.
Beautiful moment. I'll give it that. Final countdown in a football stadium. Yeah, technically it would be a football stadium.
You are correct, in a football stadium.
Yes. Yes.
We missed an obvious song. We missed a song that Tony paid for. He paid for Oasis fucking in the bushes for Nigel McGuinness.
I know we brought that up. Oh, yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Dude, I was I was at my friend's, technically kind of like my godson, but not technical.
Yeah.
I was at his birthday party, and someone just goes, Nigel, on Instagram, and I was like, oh, what, like Mariah kiss him or something? And then I looked, and I saw the entrance, and I was like, oh, they better not be playing that stupid generic ROH we just went to HDNet version of the song. They went, and then when I heard Oasis, I was like, dude, I literally almost cried. I fucking love Nigel McGuinness so much.
Well, the beginning was an actual song too, but it was just a different one.
Yeah. But
was there no love for Roll On? Just threw that theme in the trash. It's terrible.
Yeah, well, huge shout out to overall though. Great show. Bryan Danielson being the world champion again is just so phenomenal. Again, for those of you joining us, check out the All-In recap show that we did a couple days ago, especially for those of you John Escudero fans who really want to hear what he has to say about Bryan Danielson. Go check it out.
He will tell you.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. But fellas, now is the time though that we'll be discussing something. Couple days ago, one of the biggest legends in all of professional wrestling, Sid Udy, also known as Sid Vicious, Psycho Sid, Sid Justice, passed away at age 63. I believe it's from cancer. We got some people in the comments saying R.I.P. Sid, R.I.P. Sid Udy.
I believe it was colon cancer, Nick.
Yeah, and
Sid
is without a doubt probably one of the most intense, intimidating big men in all of professional wrestling. He has been a champion virtually everywhere he's ever wrestled, and there's always a presence and there's always an aura to Sid. And I thought it'd be really fun if we went over some of our favorite Sid matches and moments. So
I'd like to
throw out there, Greg. What's up?
I'd like to point out first that Sid's aura was too powerful, in the sense that everyone, logically speaking, or logically sound, I should say, kept trying to book Sid into these big bad evil heel roles, and he's just too goddamn cool.
Yeah.
And everyone ends up loving him over the babyface every fucking time.
That was his whole 96 run in WWF, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, dudes, even think about the 92 Rumble. The crowd doesn't care about Hogan. They're so happy that, the whole thing with Sid, right? Getting Hogan out of there.
Oh, you bald-headed, hot dog skin piece of shit, grabbing Sid's arm, you cheating, racist bastard.
Biggest sore loser of them all.
Oh, I hate so much, Hogan.
The shit with
Sid gets his payback though, kicking out of the leg drop of Doom, brother.
Well, WrestleMania. Because Papa Shango missed his fucking cue.
Yeah.
It's all by design, brother. They were against me, brother.
So
they book him against Hogan and he gets over on Hogan. They book him against Shawn and he gets over on Shawn.
Yeah.
They book him in WCW to be this large giant asshole who keeps taking advantage of the babyface, and they're like, "Fuck yeah, more power bombs."
Yeah, dude. Let me tell you something. I think it was Lance Storm who said when Sid came to ECW, he would show up, he would have a shirt and jeans, no gear bag. He would have like a little shopping bag. He went into his shopping bag, he'd take out a pair of knee pads, take off his shirt, walk out there in jeans, do his shit, come
Put on his neoprene elbow pad.
Yep. Take off his knee pad, take off his elbow pad, put it in his back, get his money from Paul, and then would leave the building. He said that he was there a total of, he said he was there for like 3 shots, but he was only in the locker room for a total of like maybe like 40 minutes total. I'm like, dude, that's so great. Then he went to his car that was crushed into a cube outside the 2300 arena. Goldberg! Why me? No! Dude, let me tell you something about that.
Go for it.
Any other person doing that bit, it would have looked so stupid. But Sid just had this like untouchable, unfuckwittable, unfathomable, like just, oh man, I don't know. He was just so fucking special, dude. Like, he made that work so well. It fit with. It
helps that Sid was already crazy, so like him doing crazy shit just
felt right.
Dude, it just felt so right. Him being up there going, "Why me? No!" Like it did not deviate from his character whatsoever. If that was somebody like Nash doing that, who was like, you know, like a cool guy and never lost his cool, it wouldn't have worked. But you had Sid Beauty who came out there and just yelled all the time, you know, Kevin Nash, I have half the brain you have.
That's Sid.
Oh. He also had like kind of a I don't want to say a unique promo style, but in a sense it was uniquely working for him. He would, because he could speak very softly, and then he'd just kind of go a little maniacal and start yelling, and then he'd pull back. And then he'd open back up again, then he'd pull back.
Let me try that again. We're live, pal.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And when I'm thinking of the aura that Sid had, like nothing will ever compare to Survivor Series 96.
New York City. So into it. Fist bumps. Fist bumps. Everybody.
Who's the man?
Yeah. All right. So there is so Vlad the Superfan. I'm sure everybody remembers Vlad. He was the dark skinned guy with the with the hair. He and the
with the hair.
Yeah. Well, it looked like wool. That's how it looked like.
Jesus.
But he so there is a girl. So Sid jackknifes Sean after he hit. Did he hit him with the camera, right? After he knocked out Rosario?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so after he hit Sean, it wasn't good enough. So he had to pick him up and powerbomb him to super hell, and he covers him in a lateral press. Earl Hebner gets back in the ring and makes the slowest count in the world. Not because he was knocked out, just because he always made the slowest count in the world. And this girl, you see the hand go 1, and the girl goes, no! And then he hits 2, and the girl goes, Sean! And then he goes 3, and it was like someone hit a button in the back of her head, and she just shuts down like a fucking board. And she just goes, no! And starts crying, and you just hear Sid go, I am the master! It was like out of a Shakespearean novel. It was so fucking awesome. That crowd shit on HBK like he came out wearing a fucking Red Sox shirt, dude. It was awesome. And Sean was apparently mad at that. Sean's like, why the fuck wasn't I?
He would be.
Oh yeah, because he had 26 somas running through his bloodstream. But and also when he attacked Brutus the Barber Beefcake before WrestleMania 8.
Oh no!
He has the steel chair and he hits the Barbasol can and it goes like that and hits his face, and he has all shaving cream all over his face. But
that's another situation that would have made the segment a joke for most people, but Sid is already a fucking crazy person.
Sid's like, I'm not wiping this shit off. We're going home, brother.
Think about too the amount of crazy stuff Sid has been a part of. I mean, when you watch like the Shockmaster bit, he's such a major part of that, and he's trying to keep it going as best as he can.
And the infamous Arn Anderson fight.
Oh no!
Where the scissors, you know?
Oh, we're going into the sleeves now.
Yeah. So did you?
Softball.
Did you guys ever hear the story about when Sid was in WCW and I guess the guys all went out for like a drink? I guess it was like Sting and Flair and a couple of other guys. And I guess
Ric Flair going and joining everyone for a drink? No.
I guess Brian Pillman got a little bit too drunk. God rest his soul.
Shocking.
And I guess he started saying that he could beat Sid in a real fight. And Sid was outside, like, talking to somebody. And I guess one of the wrestlers went out there and wanted to stir up shit. So he walked back in and said to, like, Brian Pillman, like, I'll fight you. I'll fight you. And Brian was like, all right, so let's fight. So Sid was so enraged that he actually challenged him to a fight. He went outside to look for a weapon, and he grabbed a squeegee, and he walked.
Yes, I do remember this.
He walked back into the bar with the squeegee and was threatening to beat up Brian Pillman. And I guess Sting and Ric Flair were laughing so hard that fucking Sid just gave up and threw the squeegee down and walked out of the bar. Oh god, Sid fucking ruled, dude. Sid was so awesome.
He did. Also, the coolest, most minimalist pyro setup ever. Just his fucking name in massive sparkling letters.
That's all you needed with Sid.
He's the only one that can pull off just staring at it like, oh, this is neat. And then still be so cool as he does it.
Yep, that's how you spell my name. I think I'm right. It was really
first time you saying it.
But a Y, yeah.
Yeah, right.
So here's a little bit of interesting trivia about Sid as well. When Sid broke his leg in that gruesome WCW pay-per-view,
which we will definitely talk about on our WCW podcast in the future.
Yeah.
He came back in an indie event, and at that indie event, he hit a power bomb on a very young, I'm talking like 17 or 18-year-old Sami Zayn. The clip was resurfacing on Twitter today.
Wow.
Of him hitting a super, and he did
like a last ride.
It was a last ride onto like a 17-year-old Sami Zayn. I believe it was in like 2001 or 2002. Sid, just one of a kind, man. Like, absolutely. The intensity, the aura, the 0.5% body fat, the jeans, the yelling, the
size,
the ramen noodle hair.
Yes.
Dude, fucking Sid. And, you know, these pictures are coming out because we remember Sid as just a fucking ass-kicking, screaming, red-faced, you know,
giant killer of a man.
Yeah. And then, excuse me, you see the pictures coming out today with his, like, grandchildren and, you know, hanging out with friends at, like, formal events. And you're like, ah, man, this fucking, like, because when you think of a professional wrestler, especially somebody like him in the early 90s, you don't want to think of them as like going home and like petting a cat. You want to think of them as going home and just using their room as like one of those rooms that people go in with baseball bats all like decked out and just hit glasses and you know, like one of those destruction rooms. But Steve said like holding a cat, patting his dog, and holding his grandchildren, and just like fake strangling people at events and shit like that. You're like, this dude was fucking A1, man. This guy was the fucking man, and it's a shame that he only made it to 63. It's a shame he hasn't been in the WWE Hall of Fame, and some other people like Donald Trump and fucking Coco Beware and guys like that are in the Hall of Fame. And you know, Sid had just such an impact on the wrestling world. Oh, and by the way, Sid did not have a Twitter account. So whoever was running that Sid Twitter account now has to stop because he's fucking dead. And the person's been cosplaying as Sid for many years. The official Psycho Sid with like a C or something like that.
I've seen that. Yeah.
That was not Sid. There was a shoot interview that he did a couple of years ago where he said the only form of social media he had was a Facebook page, and it was a private Facebook page that no fans could get to. And when he died, his son put out all the photos that were on his private Facebook. So if you ever followed that Sid account, that was not Sid. That was some probably guy with a very smelly neck posing as Sid. But yeah, rest in peace to the master and the ruler of the world.
The Millennium Man.
The Millennium Man.
The Millennium Man. There'll never be another man like Sid. And I guess all I left to say is, why Goldberg? Goldberg!
One thing we did talk about that I have a pretty fond memory of, even though it had a short-lived run. One of the rare instances of them really going balls out with the quote monster team. It's just Sid and Vader as the masters of the power bomb.
Oh yeah,
that was so cool.
It's just how do you beat that?
It's literally only the two main top guys can handle them. Aside from that, no one else can handle this.
No, and even then, only maybe.
Right? You gotta have Sting on your side if you want to have a chance at beating them.
Yeah, but Sid was just awesome, man. I love Sid so much.
No, Sid was awesome. Rest in peace to our guy Sid. Fellas, going on to a more lighter note.
Yes.
You looking forward to the upcoming Bash in Berlin?
Yeah.
Yes.
So they put out a report the other day that WWE kind of wants to keep their pay-per-views to 5 or 6 matches.
I'm okay with that.
That is the most Triple H thing ever.
Honestly.
Because he was so used to running those tight NXT cards.
Yeah.
Only matches that mattered. No filler, no impromptu matches like they used to do on 1999 Raw, which I've been watching a lot of,
Right.
Right.
And then of course the important thing, especially for a guy like Hunter, those matches get time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm kind of over the whole CM Punk McIntyre thing. But a strap match will be fun. Strap matches are always fun. Can you hear me?
Mac, your audio is getting a little terrifying.
Weird.
But yeah, that's one of the
There's something going on there that keeps asking me if I'm the Keymaster.
Is that better?
Yes, much better.
Yes.
Because my headphones are dying, so I was just trying to go off of my iPad audio. I guess I can't do that. So, strap match is always fun. I don't like the touch the corners thing. I think that's kind of corny.
That's always been my problem with strap matches. The finishes is always this weird, the same touch the floor, and it.
Well,
1, 2, 3, 4, and the guy behind is you won.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. They really didn't have a clean finish at SummerSlam. They're probably going to do some type of finish here where nobody's going to get pinned because you have to touch all 4 corners, and it's going to lead to the Hell in a Cell match at Bad Blood.
Bad Blood.
You're going to get a definitive winner there. Did they announce that the winner of the IC title tournament will get a shot at Breaker at Bash in Berlin, or?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
I mean, because honestly, I think it's going to be Jey Uso and Braun Breaker at some point. It's got to be.
You have to run it. If it's not going to be there, then yeah, we're going to be running it at.
What else do we got? We got Meechin and Nia Jax
at the pay-per-view.
If it is, it's not announced just yet. What we do have is going to be the following the strap match. We're going to have a mixed tag team match. The Terror Twins, Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley, will be taking on Judgment Day's Dirty Dom, Prison Dom, and Liv Morgan.
Prison Dom.
Prison Dom, Condom.
Oh no!
I mean, it's man. I hate to say this because I'm going to get a lot of shit from people in the chat. Fuck you, but But I think, man, it's just with the way that AEW cooked last weekend with All In, and the way that the card is shaping up for All Out, and just doing this dirty dumb, like I don't give a shit. I don't. I love. Look, I have a very complicated relationship with CM Punk. I love CM Punk the wrestler. I hate CM Punk the person. I don't give a shit about a bracelet. I don't give a shit about a Ula Fala. I don't. Those
are the two most important championships of the company right now.
That's true, though.
Look, I know that the Uncle Howdy thing is a love letter to Bray, and I love Bray, and I think it's great and everything. It just doesn't appeal to me. It doesn't speak to me. Just everything that WWE is doing, they're just cooking with shit right now. I couldn't care less.
Well, as far as I can tell, that's not on the card.
What is it?
It's one of those things where if it's not on this card, it'll probably be on one of the next upcoming ones because Triple H likes to keep these clear and concise, but it gives us stuff to look forward to for Raw as well.
Yep.
And speaking of tag matches, we're going to also have the Women's Tag Team Championships up on the line as the champions Unholy Union will defend against Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill.
My only question here is: are we saving this eventual clash for WrestleMania? Because I start asking when I'm talking about Bianca and Jade Cargill.
Oh, okay.
Because I start wondering, like, when do we start pushing the dissension and
soon, right?
Yeah. Like I think that's the obvious goal, but that's when I start asking the question, like when's the blow off? And because we are fairly close to the beginning of WrestleMania season, I start going, are we going to take that long?
I think they're gonna do that match when Jade gets better in the ring.
That's fair. I mean, here's the thing too.
We don't know when that could be.
And the thing too is, like, how many times have Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, and even throwing Naomi in there? How many times have they bested the Unholy Union just leading up to this? Yeah. I mean, man, we see this like every week in the Friday night show when we recap it. It's the same results, just different nights.
All the Black Girl magic.
Lots more of them.
AEW booked Jade in like 2-minute, 3-minute matches because they were like Paul Heyman said, like with Public Enemy, they can't wrestle for shit, but they're showmen. So we accentuate the positive, that the hey, and then bringing out the tables. And yeah, and we hide the negative, that they can't wrestle. So so what does AEW do? They hide the negative by putting her in 3-minute matches, and they accentuate the positive that she has aura that's just off the fucking charts. But now, look what the WWE has done. WWE are putting her in like 10, 15-minute tag matches on pay-per-views. They're exposing her.
So tag matches are typically the way to protect somebody in that situation.
Well, they are to protect her, but you can't have a 15-minute match where she tags in like 3 or 4 times, They did this with Goldberg. Goldberg's formula has always been squash matches. When they brought Goldberg in, they had him wrestling in like 7-8-minute matches with Christian. Now, Christian was great back then, but it just completely shatters the aura of Goldberg if you don't have him in like a 2-minute or 3-minute match. Like, look what happened when WCW put him in with Steven Regal, and Steven Regal went into business for himself.
Started technical wrestling.
Yeah, and Goldberg looked completely like shit. You have, if they really wanted to do something with Jade, they should have put her in NXT. They should have gave her the NXT championship and just had her squash women.
It was too big at that point.
Yeah, but still, you can't do it now. But if she had just went right to NXT, and just squashed women and worked her way up to the title, and then you put her on Raw or SmackDown, I would have felt better about it. But it's just, I just feel like it's a lost cause now.
I'm not sure about that. I like I said, they brought her in with so much fanfare that NXT was never going to be an option. Like they signed her and they were immediately just like, hey, it was here.
I don't doubt there's probably some like areas of her like own contract negotiation too, where she's like, no, I'm not going to do NXT.
Yeah. And not going to NXT seems to be the popular thing now. I get it. Fucking know if that's what your worth is, do you, Camille. I think that the star power and that was related to her was just it was going to be what it is. I don't think you hide that on the NXT. I think you have to put that on main television. And they decided that they wanted her to get better in the ring before they put her in a single spot, and that's fine. It wouldn't be the first time they put somebody out there with little to no experience. It's the fucking WWE, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So they're gonna make it work the best they can. You can argue all the very thing, the comparison to the AEW booking, and I get that. AEW put her out there immediately at great risk to her, and they were able to put it off by having people who were just leading her along the way, and she was strong enough where she got to do some cool stuff with a lot of those girls.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I think everything's going to turn out fine. The big difference here is that they get some familiarity with Jade Cargill before she makes the heel turn and goes on the big bad run,
becoming the inevitability of the roster.
Yeah, which is, I don't see the problem with that, especially when they got all the other angles going on with the other gals. Bailey's doing her. Where is she gonna go at? Is it gonna be Bailey?
Or what?
Who's the eventual victim
of who?
Of Jade Cargill?
It's gonna probably be everyone on the SmackDown roster.
The one with the belt.
Oh, who's gonna have the belt? I don't know. Maybe
at this point.
Yeah, it's tough to say because you're gonna have Tiffany Stratton with the belt eventually. So I
But
don't know.
They love to get the monster battle of Nia Jax and Jade Cargill eventually.
Yeah.
That's going to be a goddamn wreck because Nia Jax's knees are, a mess.
They already hinted that that's something they want to do at the Royal Rumble.
They did, yeah, and that's when I figured out, Nia can't, get up for Jade like she needs to, or at least she couldn't that night.
Yeah.
That was a rough one.
Jade's personal power.
Yeah, right?
I wanted to ask you guys a quick question.
Go for it.
Who do you think is going to challenge LA Knight for the United States Championship in his open challenge? Do we get a returning superstar? Do we just get somebody from NXT, or do we just get somebody from the roster like Humberto or Angel or something like that, trying to get retribution for him beating Escobar last week when Escobar beat his ass for 90% of the match after his 3 cronies kicked the shit out of him for 3 minutes. Which I still have a problem with, Nick. I know I said it last week. I still have such a problem with Legado del Fantasma just feeding shit to this guy for 3 minutes, rolling him back in the ring, and then he can't beat a guy at 50%.
Hey, that is nothing. Yeah, that was difficult to watch.
But I don't know who's going to be. I could easily see somebody maybe like a Baron. Didn't they run into Baron Corbin and
Apollo
Crews? So maybe it's like a Baron Corbin or something. And
oh my God, Apollo Crews! God help us all.
Yeah, and it looks like that Baron's going to win, and Legado comes out, and because I think we're eventually going to get that 6-man tag with LA Knight, Baron Corbin, and Apollo Crews versus Legado del Fantasma.
I could see them wanting to, either give a return. Where's Shinsuke been? I mean, he's always a possibility to go out there.
Surfing.
So, as usual, he loves that. I can also see them taking advantage of the rosters being together and having maybe a Raw or NXT talent answering that challenge. I can't think of any crazy free agents out there right now who would really.
Is this supposed to be a bash?
Yeah,
Oh.
I believe so. The only real person I can think of that would come back, but I don't think they would do it this way, is Jimmy Uso.
Nah.
No.
I don't think so.
I don't know for that though.
Yeah.
I
I really don't know.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see, though. Is it next Friday he's doing it, or is it Fashion Berlin?
I think it's Friday because I don't have anything for him on the card.
Yeah, it's not announced on the official card, but I've been seeing a lot of people predict that they're gonna maybe like find a way to shift it on there if there's time. Otherwise, yeah, it'll probably just be SmackDown before. But getting back into it, we talked about rookie with Jade Cargill, but we got some in-ring veterans here for the World Heavyweight title as the champion Gunther. Ring General takes on the Viper, Randy Orton. And the caveat with this match, if Orton wins the title, he's going to switch over to the Raw brand, and Gunther gets traded to SmackDown. We see Gunther at all losing in this?
No. Oh, Nick,
Yes.
announced for SmackDown, WWE Women's Championship match, street fight, Nia Jax versus Mitchin, and LA Knight issues an open challenge for the United States Championship.
Yeah, SmackDown.
Right, looks like they've been shifted over to the SmackDown, yeah. In that case, it's probably going to be a SmackDown person answering the open challenge.
Gotta keep that PLE tight.
Dude, he literally just got to Raw.
25. Yeah, that's a valid point, which is very interesting because SmackDown kind of needs people in those main event spots.
Yeah. Yep.
So
they need people to get fed to the bloodline.
Exactly. And he was so involved there too. I mean, I'm glad that they're revisiting the King of the Ring storyline here, but yeah, I think this is just a big match to give Gunther that moment in Berlin.
Yeah, he gets to beat somebody with a name value in not exactly the homeland, but on home turf,
as everyone else probably considers it.
Yeah.
Let me ask you guys: do you think that they purposefully did that finish at King of the Ring so they could get here?
I think they did purposely do it just to lead somewhere else. I'm not sure if they intended it for at this point, but I think they did that to definitely revisit later.
And by the way, too, I was reading something earlier that might pique you guys' interest. So do you remember back in 2017 when the Maharaja, Jinder Mahal, won the WWE World Championship from Randy Orton at that time? Well,
I was there.
Oh, were you really?
Yep.
Oh, geez.
I'm so sorry.
Everyone stormed out of there, and you heard nonstop. How come he gets to be champion, but we never had, so and so, DiBiase, Rick Rude, Mr. Perfect.
So I guess Raj, he's going by Raj Desi now.
Yes.
So Raj Desi was on Talk is Jericho, and he said that he did not find out that he was winning the WWE Championship until about 3 weeks before it happened, because Randy Orton was supposed to feud for the title with Rusev. Then Rusev got hurt, and they thought it might have only been a short-term injury. So they were going to do a one-off with Randy and Jinder on SmackDown for the title, and it ended up going longer because Rusev was injured, and they made the title switch. So it wasn't like this big, thought-out thing. They were just going to have them do a little mini feud for 1 or 2 weeks, and then have Rusev come back. Rusev was more injured than they initially thought.
That was rough.
So now my question is, were they going to put the title on Rusev?
Probably not.
Yeah, it's hard because was this in the? Did Rusev Day happen at this point in 2017?
No, I don't think it did.
That was a little bit later then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they would have given him that at this point because he wasn't getting that big monster run anymore. And
no, I think it would have just been. I think it just would have been Rusev, big bad heel, status quo. Randy gets the pin.
Super monster Orton must pose.
So I'm going to read this thing to you guys. So he told Jericho on Talk is Jericho, Rusev was going to work Randy. Rusev got hurt, and I think they needed someone to work Orton. Randy was champ at the time, and I think the original plan, from my understanding, from what I heard, and Randy told me, was that he thought it was going to be a one-off because Rusev was going to come back. He was going to work Rusev for the title at Backlash. Something changed because I got a message. That same day. I said, I guess the betting odds were in my favor, and somehow I was a massive underdog before. I really wasn't winning any matches, but now some smart money had come in or something. I found out later in the afternoon that I was going to be winning the championship after being told a couple of things for a couple of days.
Yeah, I think I think that's a situation where I think sometimes you just make a decision where it's just like, we've got nothing going on. Why don't we just throw some shit on TV that throw people off?
I also remember too, like the reports of the time were also they wanted to expand their business ventures in India.
Yeah.
So I think he just kind of had that going in addition, like running parallel to all of the things of trying to figure out what's going to be happening with the run.
Yeah, it was just a comedy of errors. Everything fell into place.
Yeah. No, that's the best way to put it. And talking about the actual draw for WWE as champion, we've of course got Cody Rhodes. Cody must pose with the American flag in Germany, defending the title against Kevin Owens, who didn't think he deserved a title match at some point, but now he's getting it. He had to be tricked into accepting a title match.
Yeah, Cody's not dropping that title.
Not yet, and not until Kevin, who doesn't want the title yet. I think this is going to lead to a rematch and some shenanigans later on, but yeah, I don't see this. But the reason, too, I wanted to save this match in particular for the end is Kevin Owens. There's some reports about his contract status. He's only got about 9 months remaining on there, and he had an interview with Sports Illustrated where he mentioned that the only real change in his contract status is just less time on his deal than previously thought, and it's going to be difficult to imagine a world where WWE and Kevin Owens do not reach some sort of extension or future agreement. And Kevin Owens has expressed desire to stay with the company as he continues to prove his value to them with each passing week.
That's one of those interesting things.
Go ahead, Greg.
I would say that's one of those interesting things where Kevin is so adamant that WWE was his dream job. That's the only place he ever wanted to be. That I don't think anymore that there's ever that I'm gonna try my hand at this AEW place. I think he's just gonna work there until he's done wrestling.
That's how it seems. And he's talked about the lifelong friends that he has made, even just behind the scenes and outside of wrestling within WWE. Mack, what were you gonna say?
So Kevin has said numerous times in interviews that WWE is family driven. They care about his family. They take care of his family. He's allowed to leave when he wants to, but when there's a 3 or 4 day lull where he doesn't have to be anywhere, he can go home. They don't put him on the road. And if he needs time off, they give him time off. And I think Kevin Owens in AEW, I don't know, it just doesn't click for me. Kevin has always come off to me as the type of guy that would have job security in WWE. Even if he dropped down to curtain jerking and opening a pay-per-view, it wouldn't feel out of place because he's one of those guys. When Swerve signed his contract the day of All In, he pretty much said, if Tony wants me in an opening segment, I'll be in an opening segment. He wants me in a tag team match, I'll be in a tag team match. He wants me to be in a trios or a battle royal, I'll be in that. It's he's I'm all about AEW. And I feel like that's what Kevin is. Kevin's oh, so you want me in the Money in the Bank ladder match? I'm not going to win? Okay, whatever. I'll just fall from the ceiling and land on ladders and have my moment,
Right.
You want me to be in a tag team with Sami Zayn for 2.5 years? Okay, I'll do that. But yeah, Kevin seems like the type of guy, and he's credible. In any spot in the card that he's on, he's credible. You want to have him in an opening match against Dominic Mysterio? Credible. You want to have him in the mid card in a match against, let's say Damian Priest? Credible. You want to have him in the main event against Cody? Credible. He's one of those guys that's going to be a WWE lifer. I honestly can't see him going any place else.
No, me neither.
Yeah, I mean, man literally got a match in the main event of WrestleMania with Stone Cold Steve Austin.
He did.
Yeah, they gave him his dream match on the biggest show. Why would you go anywhere else?
And it was great.
No, exactly. We had in the comments here Andrew Park saying Pac versus Ospreay versus Ricochet. Talk about insanity. That program has to happen.
Same thing on the Dynamite podcast. That's going to be crazy.
Oh yeah, you got a lot of potential in there when it comes down to Ricochet being in the mix. Again, I kind of shared some ties of sorts with like a new generation SmackDown 6, where you could do like the Elite 6 or something, guys that you can just put in any combination of tag team wrestling or just matches with one another, and it'll be fantastic. It's nice to see myself is not blurry anymore on here either. But yeah, so that was pretty much everything I had to go through on here, fellas. I think
that also reminds me of the I picked this up while watching the show. It's like the Extreme Triangle, which was Little Guido, Chochiri, and Super Crazy, who only seem to work each other.
And they always did a great job. I don't think enough people talk about those three in particular.
Yeah.
Dude, Nunzio was a legit shoot fighter.
Yeah, he was.
Dude was a fucking problem.
He's a shoot fighter, and he was a accomplished like collegiate wrestler.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nunzio was a problem, baby.
Exactly. Oh, imagine just if the WWE world where we get like Nunzio just crushing people and being like legit. Like imagine Nunzio in the Raw Underground era.
Well, you remember what Santino Marella was doing when he was in Ohio OVW. He was doing like a Sambo like killer like hitman gimmick where he would just like put you in all of these like he was like a Zack Sabre Jr. but he was like a Russian hitman.
Yeah, I am Russian destroyer.
Yeah.
Well, yes. Well, that has been us. Thank you guys for joining us on another episode of Dirt Sheet Radio. Let's see where we can find all of you. Mac, would you like to let everyone know how they can find you on the social media?
So you can just find me at Mac Burns on Facebook and Instagram, Curbside Hero. I'm pretty sure if you followed me over here, you know who I am. Also, Nick LaRocco and I, when I get around to finishing it, are going to be doing a WCW podcast on Spring Stampede 1999, where we have such matches as Billy Kidman and Rey Mysterio for the Cruiserweight title. Hardcore Hack, Sandman from ECW versus Bam Bam Bigelow in a very fun hardcore match. And the main event, DDP, Ric Flair, Hollywood, Hulk Hogan, and who else was it, Nick? Goldberg?
Goldberg and Nash have a rematch from Starrcade on there.
I haven't gotten there yet, and I haven't spoiled myself, so I don't know who's really in the main event. I think it's Ric Flair, DDP, Hulk Hogan, and who else? Sting. In a fatal four-way for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship.
With Randy Savage as the referee.
Oh my God.
The most overbooked thing, and it's perfect for WCW.
You should watch that match. It'll blow your dick off, and if you don't have a dick, it'll give you one.
There we go. That's the exact way to put it.
Yeah.
Greg, I was checking out Major Issues. I saw you and John on there with the OG himself, George Serrano. Tell us a little about that.
I saw we were top, Greg.
Yes, we were talking about the trial of Jean Grey, a X-Men Guardians of the Galaxy crossover book. It was a lot of fun. Short book, tight story. Good times had by all. John has a contemptuous relationship with that run, so we had a good time talking about it. Go check it out there over at Major Issues. Other than that, you can probably find me somewhere at your local parking lot screaming Goldberg.
Goldberg! Why me?
Well,
Where
yes.
can we find you, Nick?
Yeah, well, you can find me all over the Dirt Sheet Radio page. You'll see a lot of stuff that I'll be sharing there from time to time. I just shared a lot with the new mystery group with John Moxley and Marina Shafir. What's going on with that? Hey, we're going to be finding out.
What is going on with that?
But yeah, you'll be seeing me on there a lot. So hey, if you see Nick LaRocco posting anything, make sure you go and give me a follow. Hey, feel free to shoot me a message too. Love being able to chat with you guys. And speaking of chat, thank you guys for joining us on here. It was awesome being able to talk with you, be it on Facebook, be it on YouTube, and just like that, Dirt Sheet Radio is on all social media platforms, and Dirt Sheet Radio is always on. I mean, look at right now. We're here at midnight, and now it's like 2:30 Central Time, so we're literally always on. It's one of the best kept secrets. But hey, if this wasn't enough, you can make sure to join us for Monday Night Raw on the Raw Recap Show, which is always so hard for me to say. But then you also got Tuesday NXT. I was just on the Dynamite Recap Show earlier. We just had a new guy on there, Mr. Robbie. And then, of course, you are now on the Dirt Sheet Radio flagship show. But don't worry, because we also have Friday Nick Mack John, also known as SmackDown on Fridays. I might have skipped over TNA because I'm thinking what tomorrow is, but Thursdays we have TNA. Then we have Friday Nick Mack John, and then hey, give you a little break on Saturday. Sometimes there's some shows on there, and this time in particular, we will have a Saturday show where we're going to be going over the results for Bash in Berlin. Guarantee we're going to have quite the team for there. But speaking of WWE, we also have on Sundays CJ and Tyler's NXT Level Up Adventure every Sunday. And if you haven't had enough of Sunday content, guess what? You're also going to have our boys, the 3NT crew. They're going to be talking about all things wrestling. And at some point, Mac and I are going to be figuring out where we're going to shove that WCW show. That'll be definitely something to figure out.
For the people and for me, Nick, that Bash in Berlin show is at 1 p.m. again, or what's that?
Sure. Let's go find out together. The Bash in Berlin.
It might be important to find out when these European shows are. They will mess you up.
So Central Time, it'll be 11:30 a.m. start.
My God.
So really get ready to wake up. And whenever that's off the air, probably 11, 12, 1, maybe...
I'm not catching that.
2:30 p.m. Central Time, 3 o'clock. Make sure you go and join Dirt Sheet Radio, as I'm sure we're going to have a great team of people going over the events. But yes.
Tired people.
Very, very tired people.
Rest in peace, Sid.
Rest in peace, Sid. You've been awesome. You are 100% just amazing, pure aura. We got to give it one more time in there, guys. Ready? All right. For Mac, for Greg, and for myself, chat, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure, and we will see you next time.